everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new, welcome. Today's video is going to be the beginning of a brand new series, and the series is called Side Dish Sunday. So every Sunday I'm going to be uploading a video demonstrating 2 side dish recipes that you can use with any poultry or meat product on the side. So let's begin. The first recipe is called Orzo Risotto with asparagus. And so I'm going to go through what I use for ingredients for that, and then we'll begin shooting. So the first ingredient coming over here, first ingredient we have is orzo, and I have 2 cups of dried orzo here. I have 6 cups of chicken broth. I have a leek that I have minced. And if you're not familiar with what a leek is, this is a leek right here. Basically, you cut the end off, and what I like to do is quarter it almost all the way down and really wash it out well, because dirt can sort of linger in between the different layers of the leek. So that's the leek. And then I have just a handful of asparagus I've cut into about 1 to 2 inch pieces, as you can see. And then I have just a few mushrooms sliced and then halved. And then to finish off the risotto, I have 2/3 of a cup of cream, a cup of grated parmesan cheese, and I have some minced parsley. So the second dish we're going to be making is my glazed carrots. And what I like to do is use carrots that are multicolored. I don't know if you can see that, but these are orange and yellow and purple, and they're delicious. They all taste the same. And then when I do that recipe, we'll go over the ingredients for the glaze. Let's get started with the orzo risotto. So I've got a large stock pot here, fairly large, and in it I'm going to add about 4 to 5 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to put this on high, or medium high right now. And I'm going to put, I think, what is there, 4, 6? Okay, I'm going to put that in there. So actually it's 6 tablespoons of butter, and we're going to let this melt a little bit. Meanwhile, what we can do is start our carrots cooking. Because they're firm, they'll probably need about 20 minutes or so to cook, which is what the orzo will need. So let's get started with the carrots. So as I said, in this bowl, I have my multicolored carrots, which are gorgeous on the plate. And where the orzo has green asparagus and leeks and some fresh parsley in there, this will be a beautiful color component for the dish. So I'm going to put them all in the saute pan, the saucepan, and I'm going to fill this up with water to the top, just to cover the carrots. And I'm going to get those going on medium high as well. Whoops, wrong one. On medium high. What I'm going to do to the carrots is I'm going to add just a little pinch of salt. And I'm going to cover them and let them come to a boil. And when they've come to a boil, I'm going to lower the heat and take the cover off and let some of that water evaporate. And then we're going to make the glaze and add it to the carrots. Moving on to this pan for the risotto. My butter is melting, and I'm going to start off with the leeks, and I'm going to add the leeks. And I'm just going to let those saute in the butter. And because the asparagus are a little firm, I'm going to add those in the same time as the leeks. And we're just going to saute those around, probably for about 3 to 4 minutes. And just so you can see there's the asparagus and the leeks. Gonna let that go a minute. So the leeks have become translucent. The asparagus is still quite firm, but that's okay. We're going to add now the mushrooms. And I'm going to lower that heat just a little. And then I'm going to add just a pinch of salt. Now, there's a lot of extra butter in the pan, but that's because we're going to toast the orzo. So we're going to give the mushrooms a minute. It smells delicious. Give that a minute. And now we're going to add our orzo and toast our orzo. And that's why you need such a large amount of butter. This is not a recipe for someone on a diet because there is 6 tablespoons of butter here and we are going to be using half and half. And we're just going to get that orzo in there. We're just going to toast it just a little bit. It gives it almost a tiny bit of a nutty flavor, but we're not really toasting it so that it's getting dark brown. Just a light golden brown. I'm going to let that sit a minute. And I'm going to check on the carrots. They haven't quite come to a boil yet. So I'm putting the cap back on. Okay, our orzo is starting to toast in the butter and the juices from the vegetables. So we're going to add our liquid now. So we are adding 6 cups of chicken broth. And I get mine at Trader Joe's. I like the organic low salt chicken broth. So we're going to add 6 cups of broth. That's 4 and another 2. And we're going to stir that around. And I like to knock the little orzos that are clinging to the spoon. I like to knock them in the pan. And we're going to let that come to a boil. I'm going to raise the heat up. And we're going to let this come to a boil. And then we're going to lower it to medium-low and let it simmer until the orzo has absorbed all the liquid and it's creamy, and it takes about 18 minutes. So we will be back when the orzo is ready to continue on. So while we're waiting for the orzo to finish cooking, let's make the glaze for the carrots. So I have half a cup of orange juice. I have 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. I have a tablespoon of brown sugar. I have half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And I have a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And this is going to be the glaze for the carrots when they're just about done. Okay, so there's the glaze. We're going to let that sit a bit until the carrots are ready for the glaze. In the meantime, I'm going to get some more butter ready for the carrots. All right, and we'll leave that like that. Let's take a look at the carrots. So they're boiling away in the pan. Okay. And then what we're going to do is let some of that liquid just evaporate while it's cooking. And then once they're ready, we'll add the glaze. Our pan here with the orzo, you just have to stir it periodically to have it absorb all the liquid, because you don't want anything sticking to the bottom. Just get right down to the bottom of that, make sure nothing is sticking, and we're going to continue to stir it. We want this to come to a bit of a good bubble, and then we're going to lower the heat and let it simmer on about medium-low for about 15 more minutes to let the orzo get nice and creamy and cooked through. And we'll be back. Our orzo is bubbling away, and now we're going to let that sit and simmer until all the liquid is evaporated. In the meantime, our carrots here have cooked down and a lot of the water has evaporated. We're going to add about 2 tablespoons of butter to the pan, and then we're going to add our glaze. And I'm just going to pour that in, and I'm going to just put the heat to medium on that, and we're going to let that simmer. And we're going to let that simmer for a bit. In the meantime, I want to lower the heat on this. You have to stir this consistently. You don't want any of the orzo to stick to the bottom. So we're getting there. It's slowly absorbing the liquid. So we're going to let that go. I've lowered the heat, and we're going to let that simmer. That needs about another 7 or 8 minutes. And we'll be back. So here's the orzo risotto. It has absorbed a lot of the liquid, and it's creamy, and the vegetables are cooked through, and we're going to finish that dish up in a minute. And over here, our carrots, all the liquid has absorbed, and the glaze is actually coating the carrots and making them glazed carrots. These are done, and I'm going to shut those off and let those sit a minute. And then we're going to finish the orzo. So as you can see, it's the consistency of a nice risotto. So we're going to add the Parmesan cheese. This is 1 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. And we're going to mix that in. Okay, that's just about all mixed in. I'm going to raise that heat a little bit because I do want a little more of that liquid to absorb before I add the cream. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to add some parsley, just to bring back some of that nice bright green that we lost while the asparagus have cooked. And I buy this package here of, it's fresh parsley that's already minced. It's a time saver. It's wonderful. And we're just going to stir that nice green parsley in there. All right. And once this sits in the bowl a little bit, it will congeal a little bit more. And then, because this still has some liquid to absorb, I'm only going to use about half of the cream. And this makes it really creamy. It adds a little bit of a richness to it and makes it just delicious. So we're going to let this sit and simmer just for another couple of minutes. And what we're going to do is we're going to plate up the carrots. And because they're all nicely glazed, I've shut the heat off underneath them. There they are. Get that out of the way. Okay, so those are beautifully glazed. They've got that nice orange juice, maple syrup, brown sugar, cinnamon, and nutmeg glaze. Delicious. And now we're going to plate up our risotto. It's really creamy. And as I said, don't be concerned if it looks a little loose. It will definitely firm up once it's been sitting in the serving bowl. So I'm going to shut the heat off under that. And basically, I'm just going to pour some there. And then I'm going to take a little more parsley and just sprinkle it right on the top. So there you go. There's the risotto. And here's our delicious glazed carrots. There you go. There's our first episode of our side dish Sunday. Thank you so much for joining me. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the like button. Let me know how you like this video. It helps my channel grow. And hit that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future uploads. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.